How many project managers does it take to change a light bulb? The answer is none. They get someone else to do it, and then they document the process. I found that joke particularly funny when I first heard it, and I actually think I heard it from the person who I'm going to talk about in today's video. It's a project manager I worked with many, many years ago called Tony. And to be honest with you, when I first started working with Tony, I actually thought he was superfluous. I didn't really understand what project managers did, and I actually thought they were kind of a luxury that we had as a consultancy firm to charge extra hours to clients. Before I start, let's talk a little bit about me. My name is Mike Haile, if you don't know who I am. I am a chartered accountant, and I'm a certified project manager and still a member of the PMI, Project Management Institute. And I've been working in professional services for about 30, possibly 35 years now. But about 28 years ago, I changed careers from finance to technology. I disqualified as an accountant, and I decided to go into ERP implementation consultancy. And I started working for a Danish company that was based out of Twickenham in the United Kingdom. My opinion of project managers is probably quite similar to the way that they are viewed by some professional services businesses. How little did I know? So we used to work for this client, and it was a large client, and it was, to be fair, and I'm sure most businesses have this type of client, it was what we described as the client from hell. The client was incredibly demanding. It was a large client, so really important to us as an account, but they were this kind of client that wanted everything. They wanted to pay nothing, and they really thought they could just kick us around and treat us like we were nothing. I saw this saying on I think I saw on a billboard somewhere on one of the metro stations or the tube stations in London, as they're called. And it said something like, smile and the world smiles with you, embark, but you get better service. And I think the client had actually invented that billboard. And actually that's where Tony came in. He may have looked a little bit disheveled, a little bit unkempt. He had a beard, but like me, he was in his mid 50s like myself, and a bit of an older project manager. So at the time, because he kind of looked a little bit disorganized, I initially dismissed him. But then I saw how he worked, and my opinion about him and project management completely changed. He worked with incredible professionalism. He made sure he completely understood the project constraints. He made sure he was completely up to date with communication. He understood the scope without having to constantly refer back to it. So when we walked into client meetings, he was well prepared, and he always brought the client back to scope. He had a very good calm tone. So when the client started getting aggressive or started shouting, Tony never lost his temper. Very calmly would bring the client back to the scope and say, look, this is a document that you signed, and this is what we've agreed we're going to do, and we're going to do that. If we haven't done it properly, then of course we will make it right. But if it's been done, but if you ask for more stuff, obviously you need to pay for it, and here's a change request. Every time the client would end up having to somehow basically come back to the scope and pay for it. And I was just astounded the way he managed to deal with the client. And that's actually when I learned that while the customer is very important, they're not always right. And I understood from that moment onwards that clear client communication and setting good boundaries is everything. I mean, not only did I get the revelation that as to what a great project manager is, I was sufficiently inspired that I thought that it would be something that I would be interested in pursuing later on in my life. And it's something that I have been doing since then for the last 20 odd years. I guess the most important thing, though, is that to understand from this is that project managers are not superfluous, and they're not admin roles. A senior project manager is good at managing both the projects and people and the client. Unfortunately, there are some professional services, as I touched on before, that do not even think that they need project managers, and those that do still treat them like they're some sort of low-level admins. And that is a huge mistake. You're leaving money on the table without project managers, proper project management. And I did actually record another video on it. So please do look at that, because you are leaving money on the table if you haven't got a proper project manager. So I guess the question for you is, what's your biggest project management challenge? Please drop it in the comments. I do read all the comments, and I will respond to them. And if you've sufficiently inspired by this video, or you just like the joke at the beginning, just kidding, please do subscribe, and we'll be sharing more secrets at work for project managers and also professional services in general.